Good morning, everyone. I'm going to do a quick article. I'm researching what's going on as far as the election and how people are thinking and what they're going to vote for, what they're not going to vote for. So I found this analyst on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Young black voters are not excited about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris' ticket, an analyst says. Joe Biden and Kamala aren't appealing to young African American voters. Gianno Caldwell said Monday, every African American, especially young African Americans, point to the crime bill, which was sponsored by Senator Joe Biden. The bill gave $9.7 billion to build private prisons, and it provided prisons in our country and provided grants and incentives to the states to create a three-strike law. Caldwell said the legal legislation was very intentional and it created an unfair amount of injustice for African Americans. Now, Harris claims there is two Americas. Kamala Harris claims there's two Americas. And Harris feels Trump is in another reality when it comes to America. Attorney Bill Barr was addressed by Kamala Harris, and he basically said that Kamala Harris saying that there's two Americas and there's police brutality and stuff like that. Bill Barr is basically saying that that's a false narrative that she put out. So the voters are deciding not to vote because they are a part of the system that got them in the mess in the beginning. So black voters are saying, I'm not voting. And I did this in 2016 when I saw Trump and not Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton on the ticket. I didn't know anything about Trump, and I knew too much about Hillary Clinton because I had brought a book called The Clinton Chronicles. And The Clinton Chronicles is basically a documentary on all the bad things that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton have done when they were in the state of Arkansas, when they were governors running Arkansas. So I was like, no, I'm not voting for her because she is a criminal politician. So I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. And then Donald Trump, all I knew about Donald Trump was he was a Hollywood star and he was a real estate guru because I wanted to take up some classes in real estate and I had to get certain books. And they actually looked to Trump because he's a real estate developer. So they looked to him for how to do real estate. So I knew about Trump as far as Hollywood and lifestyles of the rich and famous. That's an old show that used to come on with Robin Leach. And Robin Leach would always interview Trump and they would go through Trump's home, the Trump Towers. And I mean, they would just talk about how much money Trump had. But I was too young to really get into that because Trump is 70. My mother was like 74 and she used to watch the news all the time. And we would always see Trump on there. Like I never really had no negative outlook on Trump because the media at the time in the 80s, they loved him until he ran for president. So I didn't know much about Donald Trump's policies. So I set the 2016 election out. I did not vote because I didn't want to make the wrong decision like I did in 2008 and in 2000 and like in 2012, I did not want to re-vote for the same person who's not doing anything And I felt like I was frustrated with the voting system because I was like, okay, I was only voting because my mother always said, well, we're Muslims. That's what we do. We vote Democrat. She never said why or whatever. So I was doing what my mother told me. And most black voters, that's what we do. We do what our parents tell us because we think that that's the right way to go. But um, we don't consider the person's past record of passing laws and what they supported. We don't do that because we listen to our parents who actually haven't done the legwork either. So I set the 2016 election out, and I was taking a government class at the time, and I wasn't interested in the campaign because Trump and Hillary Clinton, they were friends at one time. And then when Bill Clinton was the one that advised Donald Trump to run for office. So when he did run for office, it's like they turned on him. And I was like, that's really messed up. Like, y'all encouraged him because he was a Democrat at first, and then he switched over to Republican. And if y'all look at what's going on with the exodus from the Democrat Party, a lot of people have done this. They were Democrats and then they've changed over to Republicans. And so Donald Trump changed from being a Democrat to a Republican. And once he did that, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton turned on him. And they were the best of friends, like Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Jeffrey Epstein, Epstein. Um, it was a whole group of them. And Trump was among them because he was a Democrat. He actually did believe in Democrat policies, but he changed once he started looking at the Constitution and things. Because anybody that reads the Constitution and then you read pretty much what's going on in the atmosphere, you'll see how government went wrong. So I just set out in 2016 and I learned. My government class took us through how the Republican Party started, how the Republican Party and the Democrat Party raised money for their campaigns, and how lobbyists helped them raise money, and basically gave us a breakdown of the whole system. It mapped the whole system and how it was set up. And I was able to learn. Um, so now, um, on November the 8th, I can go down to the polls and be confident in my vote and confident in what I stand for. When I voted in 2008 and 2014, I did not understand politics at all. And I did vote for Obama based on because he was black, and that was the wrong decision. I shouldn't have did that because I didn't look at any of his policies. I didn't look at what the man stand for. I didn't realize until I started studying law that lawyers are what is wrong with this country, because Obama was a lawyer, Joe Biden is a lawyer, Kamala Harris is an ex-prosecutor. Like, they have really jacked up the system. The Democratic judges and these lawyers have messed the system up. So what I've been doing is really doing real digging research on Trump and the campaign. And if I see anything that I don't like, I'm going to just say it. But I haven't seen anything yet because he has he transferred himself to the Republican Party. And the Republican Party is the party that stopped slavery. So everybody's starting to wake up, and I'm proud of black voters who saying no Joe Biden, no Kamala Harris. Joe Biden was the one that actually sponsored the crime bill, and the crime bill gave incentives for um, for privatized prisons. So that's the C. What is it? The and I will tell y'all, I when Obama was in office, Virginia went through some of the most craziest stuff. Um, we Virginia had a black mayor, and the mayor was operating from the church or something, and he was doing his business at the church and uh doing government at the church, and they kind of started investigating him. Then he um the city council could not agree on the prison in Richmond. It was a jail that they built like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. um, they could not decide on whether they wanted to build a new jail because the Richmond jail was so old that, people were dying because of the heat and stuff like that. It was so much like the Richmond City Jail. It was like two or three people died. One person died because some COs jumped on him, and the sheriff at the time was C.T. Woody. Now, C.T. Woody came from Petersburg, Virginia, and he went into Richmond, Virginia. He's a Mason, and he allowed some guards to jump on this other black guy and beat him to death. Now, this man didn't do nothing about it. They tried to sue him and everything, but it didn't work. And C.T. Woody continued to become the sheriff. And back to the mayor used some school funding, and he put the school funding as he used the school funding to fund the jail. And people in Virginia were so outraged because he lied about it. And he was in cahoots with the prison system. And that's how he got the jail. They really didn't want the jail. They didn't really want to build any more prisons, but he was such an advocate for that. And I can't explain how he did it, but he kind of finessed in order to get the prison. And um people were outraged about the new jail and stuff. And the mayor comes out and says, well, this prison is going to create jobs. What prison creates jobs unless you're in prison and you're on the side of the highway picking up trash? I don't understand. And I was like, okay, this is what we got. I was so disappointed during the years of Obama, and because I saw what was going on in government here in Virginia, and most of these black Democrats that run Richmond, Virginia looks like a ghetto, and it's a lot of crime. It's the same shit that's going on across America under these Democratic governors. And back to what I was saying, the mayor basically lied about the jail to get the jail built. And then he lied and said it would create jobs. Since that jail has been built, there's no job creation, which was a lie. So that's why I said, um, learn from the past 8 years with Obama, the disappointment and the no change. Um, I had to get educated because I was like, I got to educate my kids. I don't want my kids to be ignorant about voting, because if you don't vote, what happens is you get corrupt judges that sit on the state, that ride the state circuits. And this is how you get innocent people getting locked up every day, because you have corrupt judges. Actually, during 2014, my children's father had something going on with the courts, and the House of Representatives has spoke and wrote an article about the judge that he was actually seeing that day. And I actually did some research on the judge, and come to find out, the House of Representatives said that she had did some things, some corrupt things, but they tried to talk about it or talk about removing her. But the way that Chesterfield County is set up, they have their own little uh private bar association or something like that. So the House of Representatives didn't really have no power to actually do anything. So I was like, all these things going on in government, all these corrupt judges and corrupt, this is how you get corrupt police and corrupt cops and corrupt judges, is because if you don't vote for the right person, and the president elects the judges and the police. And the last 8 years under Obama, the police were worse than they are now under Trump. Like, I remember, because some of my family members was getting pulled over, getting harassed every 5 minutes, and my father was going through some things with the courts and the jail system. And since Trump has been in office, my father has been fine. He ain't been going to jail. My children's father is okay. He ain't being harassed and pulled over on the side of the street and thrown up against the car. You know, I've been watching what the police have been doing for the last um, 8 years under Obama, and they were worse than they are now. Like, these little incidents that's popping up, they ain't got nothing to do or nothing on the last 8 years under Obama. Because the Michael Brown situation under Obama was shady as hell. And nobody wants to talk about that, but it was shady as hell because what's his name? The FBI director had stepped down, and he was a lawyer in Virginia for years. I forgot his name. I can't think right now. But he stepped down because, and I don't even know the reason why Attorney General stepped down. I forgot the reason why, but and then he said before he stepped down, he didn't see any evidence or anything wrong with Darren Wilson, what he did. And even though Darren Wilson had past records of doing things on the police force, they really didn't look at that. Obama did come out and say that he was going to sue the Missouri government, but he didn't do that. And the Michael Brown thing just was a standstill, and we had a black president, and he didn't really speak enough to that situation. And then when President Obama came out and called the people that were rioting in Washington, D.C. for Freddie Gray, called them thugs. So everybody get mad at Trump because he calling the people that's kneeling in the NBA sons of bitches, but he calling people thugs as well. So I'm like, really? Y'all saying y'all missed Obama? And Obama did some effed up crap too. He was sanctioning Africa for not accepting homosexuality when they're actually Muslim countries. They can't live that way because Muslims follow the straight way, which is the straight path. We cannot live a homosexual life if we made a covenant with God to walk the straight path. We can't do that. So that's another thing that Obama actually, I lost respect for Obama. And I lost respect for him because they were always having a party at the White House. And I'm like, is this what y'all showing Black America? This is all Black people do, have a party at the White House. Um, y'all always on Saturday Night Live. I don't even think they should have even did that, because it's like they was trying to do be be Hollywood stars or something. And I'm like, so what makes Obama different from Trump? He still was trying to be in Hollywood or be with Hollywood stars. Every time you turn around, Obama was with a Hollywood star somewhere. So more of the story is, if you feel like that you don't want to vote, sit this one out and educate yourself, because it might take you a year to go through all the history, because it took me about a year or two. No, actually, I started, let me see, when I was 5 years old, I kind of knew a lot about government because my father was from Washington, D.C. So he taught me a lot about government, because the people of Washington, D.C. were at first hand dealing with a lot of racial issues and police brutality and stuff like that. So he would always tell me, like, in this, because my father is 68, 69. My father is 68 or 69. And he would always tell me about the Black Panther Party, what happened to the Peace Stones. Like, he knew a lot of activist information. Like the Peace Stones, that's an activist group. They were actually a gang as well, but they started working with activist groups like Martin Luther King, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Black Panther Party, the Nation of Islam. They were actually working with those groups, helping protect those groups. They also work with Sammy Davis Jr. So he would tell me about a lot of things about activism and how, Malcolm X did what he did. And my father loved Malcolm X because Malcolm X was a Muslim. A lot of people don't bring that up. They just say, Malcolm X is an icon and this and that and the third, but they never bring up his religion. And when you look at the religion of Islam, everything that Malcolm X was teaching was based on Islamic principles. If you are aggressed upon, you should never be the aggressor. But if somebody is trying to kill you, you got to defend yourself. That's even the law. That's the Constitution. So, as a Muslim, they say you're never supposed to be the aggressor. But if you are aggressed upon, you're supposed to protect yourself. So Malcolm X, what he was teaching was basic Islamic principles. And Obama after I voted for Obama, and I don't even know who the hell I voted for. Let me see. When George Bush came in office, I didn't even vote then either because I didn't like George Bush. George Bush didn't know what he was doing. So I was kind of frustrated at that point. And that's why I set the 2016 election out. And I said, look, I need to, because I hated actually the thing with voting. I hated every time voting came around, like all this advertisement goes to persuading people to vote. And we got to remember, people do have the right to hold their vote. And I say, if you don't know about Trump's policies and you don't care for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, then if you don't see an appealing candidate, then don't vote. Because why would you give your vote to a cause you know nothing about and to people you really know that you don't have, or they don't have your best interests, or you don't understand? I think voting is for intelligent people that know the law, know what things are supposed to go. I had to learn, and I'm still learning. So if you got to sit this one out and learn, sit it out and learn, and then come back the next 4 years ready to vote. you know? So I'm not against voting. I'm just against people voting for the wrong people. So tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Salon B. Have a great day.